my favorite chapter? Alright. Karan reached Jerry's gymnasium just before midnight. Sitting on a bench not too far away from the gym, he watched Jerry go about his night routine, switching off the lights, closing the big iron doors one by one, barring the one small one he never shut. Even after all these years, he didn't get Jerry's logic of leaving the little one open. He watched Jerry retire to his room. Karan took a deep breath and looked around. The waters glistened. It was spectacular. The magnificence of the full moon night wasn't lost on him. The skies were clear, mirroring his state of mind. Still, taking in the silence of the night, Karan listened keenly to the soothing rhythm of the lapping waves. He watched the stars slowly waltz across the sky. In those moments, he knew it was time to cast his old self away. Karan knew he was living the most defining moment of his life, rising from his own ashes, phoenix-like. Savoring it, he sat still. There was no hurry tonight. There was nowhere to go. He was home. The night was progressing rapidly. Incoherent music came wafting to his ears from one of the apartments in the nearby building. Karan smiled. Someone else was awake too, alive to the magic of the transformative night. Yeah, I messed it up. But could it have been any other way? Would it have been fair if it had been any other way? What was wrong with getting what you deserved? Karan mused as the moon slowly started to fade away. Dawn was perhaps just an hour away. Karan got up from the bench and entered Jerry's gymnasium quietly. Through the very door he often quizzed Jerry about, the one that was always left open. He took a deep breath, breathing in the air of the gym, a mix of sweat, leather, and the sea. He walked around lightly, running his fingers over the equipment, sign, the speed bags, the sandbags, the ring, beckoned. He felt this rush of restlessness rise in his gut. He stood in front of Jerry's favorite sandbag, the one he kept taping up and never replaced, his heart beating wild. He plunged his fist into the bag, first the right, then the left. The bag flew in the air and came back at him. Karan grabbed it, eyes brimming with excitement. He picked up the first pair of gloves he could lay his hands on, put them on quickly, and went back at the bag. Bam, bam, bam.
What I will say is that I grew up in an armed forces environment that sort of exposes you to a lot of outdoors and adventure sports. And pretty early on, I actually watched a lot of boxing matches, live boxing matches. And I was quite fascinated by the fact the two men were beating the crap out of each other, pardon me, and the spectators were actually quite enjoying when the two men bled. And there was something very interesting in that for me. So when I went to study film, I started following boxing matches in New York. I'd go for all the pro tournaments that were happening. I started going as a fan. And in the book, I have used boxing as a metaphor for hope and resurrection. Really, because it's, for me, life is like a boxing match. So that's Karan's worldview as far as the book is concerned. And I spent a lot of time talking to boxers, watching fights, going to matches. I met coaches, and given my interests in the outdoors and adventure, it only seemed natural that I'd set the story, a resurrection story in the world of boxing. But I don't know what the hullabaloo is all about, because let's face it, the greatest boxing story coming out of India is not a man, it's a woman. It's MC Mary Kom. So it is. So really, I mean, there you go.
No, it's difficult to make a, I mean, for me, I'm a failed novelist, I became a filmmaker because I couldn't be a novelist. It's too lonely, So, but it's two different things. And you move from, in one you move from the abstract to the concrete, and the other you move from very concrete, because you need things to shoot, you need action. So, I mean, for this kind of book, because it's, it's action, it's got to do with the sport. It's, the film would deal more with the external, and because it's, You can shoot it very well in terms, and with that you can sort of in the nature of how you do it and the way you cut it, the way you shoot it, the way the actors perform, you'll be able to go into the interiority of their mind. Whereas in the book, you can do more the head space. You know, it's like, that's why sometimes, you know, sorry, but you know, I mean, for example, why is there not such a great sexual novel? You know, very different, because in the sense, you know, when it's sorry, why is there not such a great sexual film? Because, you know, that's the thing that happens in the heads of the two people, and when it's just merely physical, it's like voyeurism. You know, it's very difficult to avoid that in film. It takes a very great craftsman to be able to move past that. But in this kind of book, it's because it's about sport. I think the transformation can be far easier. And because it's that, I think it'll make a really good film. But she's got it in her head anyway, that in the sense that intrudes into her writing, that visual sense of description, the way the film moves, the novel moves. I think it's easily transforming. Some books can, you know, some books can't. That the film is being made from Dancing Tables, but Nidhi herself will direct. Will be Mr. Arunoday Singh in the lead. And I'm really proud because these both of them work with me. I don't know if Nidhi is my priority, but my little boy there is. You know. So that's, you know, it really gives me great pleasure. And I think the producers are here. Now we want to take this forward, but it will, you know. And I'll add my 2 bits whenever she wants.
Alright, and followed by the wonderful announcement, I now invite Nidhi to give Pratap Singh's boxing gloves to Arunoday. And I think we could have started off on a better note. All the very best to you, Nidhi.
Alright. Excellent.
Alright, we now throw it open to the audience. If there's questions from the audience, members of the media, the questions, please do address them forward right away. We have photo ops because we're now going to do the official launch. Post which, if there are any questions, you can address them forward.
And voila.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Dancing with Demons, Nidhi Sharma. Usually launching a book for our stars, and followed by a movie that seems deeply exciting Arunoday Singh. Very special thank you to Mike, the publishers of this book, for giving us such a wonderful platform. Thank you very much, Sudhir Mishra, for gracing us with this occasion.
And when everybody's together, all the right, the creative talent, the actors, people who passionately believe in the story, then I think half your job is done. Then it's really a question of going on the floor and shooting the film. So for me, I think I'm very fortunate that all the right energies have come together for the film. The producers are in the room. Arunoday is here, Sir here. I think everything's right, everything's perfect. I think we just need to go make the film now.
Well, and we can't end without asking Arunoday about his thoughts. I'm sure he's really looking forward to this journey.